Pipes are yet another very simple but very powerful concept in Angular. Using pipes, we can transform a data in some way before rendering it in the UI. So in this lecture, let's learn what are pipes and how to use them with some examples. Along the line, we will also talk about some commonly used built-in pipes in Angular. Pipes in Angular are used to transform data before displaying it in the view. Angular pipes takes data as input and it transforms or formats that data before displaying it in the template. Let's try to understand pipes with some examples. And to understand pipes, here I have created a very simple Angular project. In this Angular application, we have a header, we have main content area, and we have a footer. And in the main content area, we are simply displaying a table with some student details. If I go to VS Code, here I'm calling the project Angular Pipes. And in this project, if I go to source folder, and if I expand this app folder, in there we have one admin component. And we also have a model called students model. So if I open this students model, here we have a student class. And for that class, we have 7 properties: ID, name, gender, date of birth, course, marks, and fee. And in here, we also have a constructor using which we can create a new student. Now, apart from the student model, we also have a student service. So let me open that student service here. And in this student service, we have two important properties. We have this students property and we have this total marks property. The students property is an array which contains a list of students. And we are creating those students using the constructor of this student class. So in here, we have 6 students for now. And we are displaying these 6 students in the web page. So in this table, we are displaying the details of those 6 students. Then we also have this total marks property, which is 600. So each student, if you notice, will have a marks. So the marks obtained by the student. And in order to calculate the percentage, we need the total marks. So we divide marks by total marks. And in that way, we are calculating the percentage. So if I go back to the web page, here you will notice that we are displaying the percentage, but currently it is in decimals. And we will change this in this lecture. Let's go back now. And inside this student service, we also have this create student method. And using this create student method, we can create new students. And inside this create students method, what we are doing is, first, we are calculating the ID for the new student. And how are we calculating it? We are getting the length of the students array. And to that, we are adding one. So let's say I want to add one more student to this students table from the UI. In order to do that, I will have to calculate the ID for that student. I will get the name, gender, date of birth, the course, the marks he has obtained, and the course fee from the UI. But we need to calculate the ID for that student. And that's what we are doing here. And once we have the ID, we are calling the constructor of the student class and creating this new student. And then we are pushing that student inside this students array. So this is our student service. Now let's go to this admin component and let me go to this admin component class. In this class, you will see that we have two important properties. We have this students property and we have this total marks property. And inside this class, inside this admin component class, we are also injecting an instance of student service using this inject method. And now what we are doing is we are assigning these students and this total marks property of this admin component with the students and total marks property of student service. Rest of the properties of this class we are using for editing and inserting a new student. So these are not very important at this moment. Let's also go to the HTML file of this admin component. So in here we are displaying the header of the application. Then here we have the main content. Inside that we are displaying this table. And if I scroll down, here we are displaying the details of the student. For example, using this TD, we are displaying the name of the student. Using this TD, we are displaying the ID of the student. In the same way, here using this TD, we are displaying the gender of the student. This will display the date of birth of the student. Here, we are displaying the course which the student has opted for, and so on. Okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and let's try to understand what is a pipe and how to use a pipe with some built-in pipe examples. So head over to Angular's official website by typing angular.io in the URL. It will take you to this page. From here, go to Docs, and in there, go to API references, and here you can search for pipe. And here you will see all the built-in pipes which Angular provides. So from here, let's take an example of a very simple pipe. And I'm going to go with this uppercase pipe. So let me open this uppercase pipe in a new tab. If I go to this uppercase pipe, first of all, you will see the description of that pipe. So what this pipe does, it transforms a text all to uppercase. And to use this uppercase pipe, we need to use this keyword, this name uppercase. Okay, and we can apply it only on string values. So all those informations you will find inside this document. So let's go ahead and let's use this uppercase pipe on this course. So we are displaying this course using the course property of student. So if I go back to VS Code, in this line, we are displaying the value of the course property. And currently, the value of that course property in mixed cases. Now what I want is, I want to show these values, the value of the course property all in uppercase. For that, we can use the uppercase pipe. Now in order to use a pipe, the value on which you want to apply the pipe, after that you need to use the pipe symbol. This pipe symbol is nothing but a vertical line symbol. And after that you can specify the name of the pipe. In this case, name of the pipe is uppercase. And this should be it. So if I save the changes now, and if we go to the web page, you will notice that now all the courses are displayed all in uppercase. Okay, so there is no more mixed cases here. And this is the use of uppercase pipe. In the same way, we also have a lowercase pipe, as you can see here, and it does the opposite of uppercase pipe. So it transforms text all to lowercase. So if I go back and instead of uppercase on this course property, if I use lowercase, in that case, it will show this course value all in lowercase. If I go back to web page and if we go back to our application, there you will notice that now the courses are displayed all in lowercase. So this uppercase and lowercase pipes are very easy to understand and use. Now let me go back, and on this course, instead of using lowercase, I'll use uppercase. All right. So this was about uppercase pipe and lowercase pipe. Now let's talk about another pipe, maybe date pipe. So let me open this date pipe in a new tab. And what does this date pipe do? This date pipe formats a date value according to a locale rule. And in order to use this date pipe, we need to use this keyword date. And this date pipe can be applied on string values, on number values, or on date values. So in our application, here you will notice that we are displaying the date of birth of the student. And currently this date of birth contains the weekday, the actual date, it contains time in hours, minutes, and seconds, and it also contains the time zone. But I don't need all these informations for the date of birth. I only want to show the date of birth in month, year, and date. For that, what we are going to do is, on this date of birth property, we are going to use this date pipe. Because as we learned, the date pipe formats a date value according to a locale rule. So let's go to VS Code and let's see where we are displaying this date of birth. So at this line, using this TD element, we are displaying the value stored in this date of birth property. So we want to format this date of birth property, and for that, on this date of birth property, we are going to use date pipe. So to use date pipe, first we need to use the pipe symbol, which is this vertical line, and after that we can specify the name of the pipe. The name of the pipe here is date. With this, if we save the changes and if we go back to the web page and if we go to our application, you will notice here that that date has been formatted, and now it only contains the month, the date, and the year. So we use date pipe to format a date value. Now this date pipe also takes some parameter. So if I scroll down, Here you will notice that it takes a format parameter, which is of type string. It also takes a time zone parameter, which is of type string. It also takes a locale parameter of type string. And all these parameters are optional and the default value is undefined. So let's go ahead and let's use one of these parameters. So I'm going to use this format parameter for this date pipe. And let's see what are the values we can pass for this format parameter. So if I scroll down, here you will see some format options. For example, short, medium, long, and you can also see how the dates will be displayed when you use any one of these formats. So if I use this short format, the date will be displayed something like this. If I use this medium format, the date will be displayed something like this. Then we also have long date, full date. So in case of long date, the date will be displayed like this. And in case of full date, it will be displayed like this. So currently in our application, when we have used date pipe, you will notice that the month name is displayed only with 3 characters. So for November, it is NOV. For October, it is OCT, like that. But what I want is, I want to display the full month name. For that, I can use this full date, but if I use full date format there, it will also show the weekday, and I don't want to show the weekday here. So for that, we have another option, which is long date. And in the long date, it will display the complete name of the month. So I'm going to use this format. Let me copy it. Let's go back to VS Code. And we want to pass that long date format as a parameter to this date pipe. Now, when we want to pass a parameter to a pipe, after the pipe name, we need to use a colon like this, and then we need to specify the value for the parameter. So in here, I'm going to specify the value for the parameter as long date. And keep in mind that this format parameter is of type string. So we need to pass it as string. If I save the changes, let's go back to our web application. Now you will notice that now in the date of birth, the full month name is being displayed. So this is what this long date format does. So if you want to learn more about date pipe, then you can go through this documentation of this date pipe. Here, if I scroll down, you'll also find some examples. All right, you can also see some examples on how to use the date pipe, how to pass the parameter to the date pipe, and all those things. So if you want to learn more about date pipe, you can go through this documentation. All right, now let's talk about some other pipe. So here you will notice that we also have this percent pipe. Let me open this percent pipe in a new tab. And what this percent pipe does is, the percent pipe transforms a number to a percentage string and it formats it according to a locale rule. Now, in order to use this percent pipe, we need to use this name percent, this keyword. And we can apply this percent pipe on values of type string and number. So, in here in our application, inside this percentage column, we want to display the percentage marks obtained by the student. Currently, what we are doing is we are dividing this marks with the total marks, and that value is being displayed here. So if I go to VS Code and let's go to the place where we are displaying the percentage. So here we are displaying the marks, and at this place we are displaying the percentage. So currently what we are doing is we are simply dividing the marks obtained by the student with the total marks. But now what we want is the value which we are going to receive from this expression, we want to convert it to percentage. For that, on this value, so first of all, let me wrap it within parentheses. Okay, so this expression here, it is going to return us a value. That value will be a decimal value. And we want to convert that value into percentage. For that, we are going to use the percent pipe on this value. So in order to use a pipe, first we need to use the pipe symbol followed by the name of the pipe. Here, the name of the pipe is percent. And now if we save the changes and if we go back to the web page, you will notice that in here, inside this percentage column, now those values are displayed as percentage. Now this percent pipe, it also takes some parameter. For example, it takes this digits info parameter. And this digits info parameter, it is of type string. And inside that string, we need to specify a format. For example, we need to specify the min integer digits. So this min integer digits, it is basically the minimum number of integer digits before the decimal point we want. and the default is 1. Then we also have this min fraction digits. So this min fraction digits, it is the minimum number of digits after the decimal point, and by default it is 0. And that's why you will not see any decimals in this percentage value. And also the max fraction digits, so the maximum number of digits after the decimal point which we want, and that is also by default 0. Okay, so what we want is we want to pass this digits info parameter to this percent pipe. Now in order to pass a parameter, after the pipe name we need to use a colon, and then we can specify the parameter. And we saw that the digits info parameter, it is a string value. And in here we can specify what is the minimum number of digits we want before decimal point. Let's say we want minimum 2 digits before decimal point. Then we need to use dot, and then we need to specify what is the minimum number of digits we want after decimal point. That also I want 2. So minimum number of digits after decimal point should also be 2. And then we need to specify hyphen, and then we also need to specify the maximum number of digits we want after decimal point. And that also I will set it to 2. Okay, if I save the changes and if we go to the web page now, and let's go to our application, there you will notice that the percentage now also has a decimal point, and after the decimal it has 2 digits. Since we have specified the maximum number of digits we want after decimal is 2, so that's why it is only displaying 2 digits after the decimal. But if we go ahead and if we change the maximum number of digits which we want after the decimal, let's say to 5, and if we go back, you will notice that for some of the values, it is showing 5 digits after the decimal. Okay, but I'll go back and I'll set it back to 2. And now it should display only 2 digits after the decimal point. Alright, so this was about percent pipe. Now again, if you want to learn more about percent pipe, you can go through this documentation. Here, if I scroll down, you will also see some of the examples on how to use the percent pipe. Now let's talk about one more pipe, and that pipe is this currency pipe. So let me open it in a new tab. And this currency pipe, it transforms a number to a currency string, and it formats it according to a locale rule. And in order to use this currency pipe, we need to use this keyword currency. And this pipe can be applied on values of type string and number. Now what we want is, we want to apply this currency pipe to this fee column. So for each student here, the student have submitted a fee for each course they have opted for. And currently we are simply displaying a number like this. But what I want is, I want to display a currency symbol before this value. For that, we can use currency pipe. So let's go to VS Code and let me scroll down and let's see where we are displaying the fee. So inside this TD element, we are displaying the student fee. Okay, so on this value, we want to use the currency pipe. So in order to use a pipe, first we need to use the vertical symbol like this, and then we can specify the name of the pipe. And the name of the pipe here is currency. Okay, if I save the changes, if we go to the web page, you will notice that now a dollar symbol is being used before the fee value. The currency pipe formats a number to a currency string. Now, if we go back to the currency pipe documentation again, there you will notice that we can also pass some parameters to this currency pipe. So for example, we can specify the currency code. By default, it is displaying the currency in US dollars, but we can also change this currency code. So let's say we want to display this value in INR. For that, let's go back to VS Code, and to this currency pipe, we can pass a currency code as the parameter. And that currency code is going to be a string value. And let me specify the currency code as INR. If we save the changes and if we go back to the web page, you will notice that now instead of dollar, it is displaying INR symbol. Then this currency pipe also takes other parameters, for example, display. And this display parameter takes either a string value or a Boolean value. So for example, if you are passing a string value, let's say code, in that case, it will show the currency code. But if you are passing symbol, in that case, it will show the currency symbol. For example, dollar or euro or something like that. So by default, it is dollar. Then you can also pass a Boolean value true or false. If you pass true, in that case, it will show the currency symbol. Otherwise, if you pass false, it will show the currency code. So for example, let's say instead of displaying the currency symbol, I want to display the currency code here. For that, let's go back to VS Code, and we saw that to this currency pipe, we can also pass a second parameter. And in order to pass the second parameter, what we need to do is, after this first parameter, we can specify another colon, and then we can specify the value for the second parameter. So for the second parameter, it will take either a string value or a Boolean value. So here, let's use a Boolean value. Let me pass false here. Let's save the changes and let's go back to our application. So now you will notice that instead of using the currency symbol, it is using currency code. If I go back and if I pass true here, and now if you go back to the web page, you will notice that now instead of currency code, it is using currency symbol. So in this way, we can also pass multiple parameters to a pipe. Now here, let's go ahead and let's pass one more parameter to this currency pipe. So if I go back to the documentation of this currency pipe, it also takes a third parameter called digits info. And this digits info parameter is same as the digits info parameter of %pipe. So in here, we can specify what is the minimum number of digits we want before decimal point, what is the minimum number of digits we want after decimal point, and what should be the maximum number of digits after the decimal point. So let's go ahead and let's pass that parameter. So since we want to use one more parameter here, after the second parameter, we can specify another set of colon, and then we can specify the value for the third parameter. So before the decimal point, I want minimum 2 digits. Then I will use dot. After decimal point, I want minimum 2 digits and hyphen, and I want maximum of 2 digits after the decimal. Again, let's save the changes. Let's go back to the web page. Let's go to our application, and you will notice that now we can also see the decimal points here. So basically, after the currency value, it will have minimum of 2 decimals and maximum of 2 decimals. Okay, so this was about currency pipe. All right, so we have already seen some of the commonly used built-in pipes of Angular in this lecture. Now, if you want to learn more about built-in pipes, you can visit this documentation page and you can learn about them. This documentation is very easy to understand, and it also provides some example on how to use these pipes. Now, before I wrap up this lecture, I also want to tell you that we can also chain multiple pipes. And when we chain multiple pipes together, the formatting is applied based on the order in which we have used the pipe. So for example, the second pipe will be applied on the result of first pipe. The third pipe will be applied on the result of second pipe, and so on. Let's quickly see this with an example. So let's go back to VS Code and let's go to the date pipe. So here we are using this date pipe on this date of birth. Now when we are using this date pipe on this date of birth value, basically this date of birth value, it is a date value. And on that date value, we are using this date pipe. So this date format, it will format this date value and it will return a formatted string. This date pipe, it will return a string value. It is not going to return a date value. Okay, so the value which you see here, it is a string value. It is not a date value. So on that string value, we can also go ahead and we can chain another pipe, maybe uppercase pipe. So here what will happen is this date pipe will be applied on this date of birth property, on the value stored in this date of birth property, and it is going to return some result. On that result, this uppercase pipe will be applied. And for chaining a pipe, what we need to do is we need to use another pipe symbol after the pipe name, and then we can specify another pipe. So here we are chaining two pipes. So when we are chaining multiple pipes, the first pipe will be applied on the input element and it is going to return some result. And on that result, the second pipe will be applied. So if you go back to the web page, you will notice that now the date of birth is all in uppercase.